Roll.
Councilman Schwartz.
Here.
Councilwoman Belcher.
Here.
Councilwoman Goldberg.
Here.
Councilman Organ. Deputy Mayor Katz. Here. Deputy Mayor G.
Here.
Mayor Pagan.
Here.
Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by resolution number 299-2023, sending a copy to the newspapers officially designated for 2024 by way of resolution number 2-2024, filing a copy in the Township Clerk's office and posting on the municipal building bulletin board, and the mayor hereby directs that this statement be included in the minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Good evening and welcome everyone to tonight's council meeting. Township Administration present at tonight's meeting are Jacqueline Hashmat, our new township manager, who we welcome and are excited to have as part of our TNEC family, Doug Roussillon, our township clerk, Scott Salmon, our township attorney, Kristen DeNorcha, our deputy township clerk, and Ron Goodman, our volunteer cable master. For the public's information, we are currently holding a hybrid format meeting. We have people in person and on Zoom. If our Wi-Fi at the municipal building has an issue where the Zoom meeting drops, we will aim to retrieve the connection and restart the meeting. The next televised regular council meeting is on August 22nd and begins at 6:30 p.m. with the public portion of that meeting beginning at 8 p.m. This meeting was scheduled for August 20th, but the clerk issued a sunshine notice rescheduling that meeting to that Thursday. Council met in closed session earlier this evening to discuss the following: a cell tower, Sagamore Park diversion, Sagamore Park drainage, council classes, contracts, affordable housing, potential sale of township property, vacant and abandoned properties, personnel and advisory boards, public roadways, Cedar Lane parking, water billing, and legal issues and opinions regarding items on the open session agenda, Ordinance 18-2024, litigation updates, and Oprah. Our next order of business is presentations, and first up is our swearing in of our new township manager, Jacqueline Hashmat. Ma'am, the floor is yours.
I promise you that Miss Hashmat has actually already been putting out a fire.
He's grabbing that one.
Very eloquent.
Lord. Good evening, Mayor and Council, Township residents, colleagues, family, and friends. It is my great honor and privilege to introduce someone who has played a pivotal role in my professional journey, Mr. Steve Loiacono. Mr. Loiacono currently serves as the Borough Administrator of North Arlington, a role in which he continues to demonstrate exceptional leadership and dedication to public service. Before taking on his important position, he served as the city manager for the city of Hackensack from 2005 to 2013. I had the distinct pleasure of working under Mr. Loiacono's guidance during my tenure in Hackensack. In 2011, he recognized my professional potential and promoted me to work in his executive office. His mentorship and leadership had a profound impact on my career, shaping my approach to public service and management. Being one of the best in the field, it is truly fitting that Mr. Loiacono swears me into this new role. His leadership platform has not only guided me over the years, but has also prepared me to lead the Township of Teaneck with the same dedication, professionalism, and commitment to excellence. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Steve Loiacono. I'd also like to call up my husband, Adam, with my two children, Luke and Layla. Please hold the Bible. I'm going to stand on this.
You know, before we swear Jackie in, just a few words I want to share with those of you here in Teaneck, obviously the mayor and council. I think you've made a wonderful choice, obviously, to lead this progressive leader municipalities forward over the next number of years. This is a very, very competent young woman. She is unbelievable in the way she attacks any problem which may come up. You know, I've been in this game a long time, and I've come across a lot of public employees, and I could say without fear of contradiction that she is the most capable, competent, committed, caring public official or public employee I have ever worked with, and I mean that from the bottom of my heart. So I think it won't be long before you realize what a great choice you've made. Certainly, I'm happy to be part of this, but it's about her, and I think that she's going to be an outstanding leader as we go forward. So why don't we get you sworn in so you can start taking all those calls here? Repeat after me. I,
I,
Jacqueline Hackett,
Jacqueline Ashmat,
do solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, that I will bear truth,
I will-
faith, and allegiance to the same and to the government established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people, and that I will, I should have worn my glasses, faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform the duties of the office of Township Manager, the office of Township
the
Manager,
office of Township
to the best of my ability.
to the best.
So help me God.
Thank you so much.
Fine, you know. It's official, I can blame her for everything.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, Deputy Mayor.
if I could say, I'd like to echo what Steve mentioned. This council went through an extensive search to try to find the right fit, especially after an amazing manager like Dean Kaczynski, someone that would work with our very intelligent, engaging, educated community, and someone who would be very responsive. And Jacqueline was on the list, and I saw she was from Hackensack, and I reached out to some of my friends from Hackensack, and the response was, she is a doer. She is behind the scenes. She doesn't run for fanfare. Her father has an exceptional, and I said this to her during the interview, exceptional reputation, also worked for Hackensack for many years with the same reputation. I will tell you, as council members, we don't get inspected by the TNEC building department. People always say, oh, I wish we had special treatment like you on the council. I'm like, yes. With me, they put the plans in. It takes 30 days for TNEC to review. Then they send it to Hackensack, and it takes another 30 days. When you get your plans put in, it's only 30 days. So, I get the special treatment of getting an extra 30 days wait on my inspection. But with that said, I had a property inspected this week from some Hackensack inspectors, and they come in clusters because they got to come together in one car and they like to do it one shot, all the different inspectors. And they walked in, and the first words they said to me is, "We're very sore at you." I said, "Why? What did I do?" I knew the inspection wasn't going to go well. They said, "You stole one of our best seeds." So I want to tell you, you have an amazing reputation. We're very fortunate to have you. We're looking forward to amazing things. And thank you very much for agreeing to take the position. And we wish you a lot of strength and good luck. Oh, needless to say, I failed that inspection, by the way.
Anyone else?
I just want to say, welcome, Jackie. I mentioned to you before over coffee that I'm really looking forward to working with you. You certainly have a passion for community and people, and it's lovely to meet your family. And I know that you're prepared for a lot of late nights. Thank you for.
Mr. Schwartz.
if she's still here now, then she's staying. I mean, I would have quit.
Anyone else?
I have my
Jackie?
hand up.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Danielle.
I also just want to say thank you, Jackie. We're so excited to be working with you, and shout out to your family for being here. We're so happy they were here today. And thank you for lending us Jackie, because I know we're going to keep her busy. So we appreciate you all as well.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And Jackie, it's only been 2 weeks, but you're already doing a great job. A number of constituents have told us that you've helped them. A couple in the audience actually told us that you helped them with a couple things. So we welcome you to our Teaneck family. We're so happy you're here. And if there's ever anything we can do to help you, help our residents, please don't ever hesitate to reach out.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
And our next order of business is certificates of recognition, Youth Advisory Board. Deputy Mayor Katz.
Thank you very much. I want to tell you that I was the founding chairman of the Youth Advisory Board when I was 15 years old. Today I'm 50. But it has come a long way, and probably one of the best additions that we've had. We've always had a great group of young individuals that dedicated themselves, brought fresh ideas, innovative, great energy. But one of the best additions to the Youth Advisory Board has definitely been the parent advisors. Because, you know, while we used to have council liaisons, I think the parent advisors are really acted more hands-on, and the council liaison stepped back to be more in a supportive role. So I do want to call up all the parent liaisons that are here to join me. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. All right. Who would like to maybe say a few words, but also let's start by giving out the certificates to our amazing young group from this year. You like? Go for it.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. My name is Dwayne Harley. I'm one of the adult advisors for the Youth Advisory Board. This year we had amazing students. They worked very hard, diligently. As you are aware, this group is responsible for participating even from last year with the defibrillators that now that our sports leagues have to use. This year we put on an amazing event chaired by our leader right here. It was a career day, and we also had the civics event, which was awesome. So I'm just very grateful to still be a part of the group, and let's not delay anything further.
Hi, good evening. My name is Maxine Angel. I'm a new member of the Adult Advisors to the Youth Advisory Board. It's such a privilege. Thank you so much for the opportunity to serve in this way. It's all about the teens and their ability to put these wonderful programs together, come across from all over Teaneck. And it's a huge commitment. It's every Wednesday night. And if you have a teen and you live in Teaneck, we welcome you. And it's just wonderful to be to watch these teens come together, put together these wonderful community programs. And I can't wait to see what you do next. And I look forward to working with our returning members next year, as well as new members. So thank you so much.
We have two parent advisors that are not here, Juan G. and Klein, correct? Klein. Four.
A few words. Shay Lewis, co-advisor to the Youth Advisory Board. Thank you to all of the students that have raised their issues to a level that the council is able to access and amplify. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you for your tenacity. Thank you.
and best of luck going forward in all of your future endeavors. Thank you.
Ms. Amanda Kendra Gako. Ms. Ayala Kramer. She's not here. Okay. Gail. Ms. Gail Marvelstein. No. Ms. Kayla Beetleman. Okay, this is her brother. Mr. Matthew Beetleman. Ms. Caitlin Raymond. Ms. Olivia Vasquez. I don't see Adeline Perez. Raincraft, no. Mary Kramer. Audience.
Does anyone on council want to say anything? Councilwoman Belcher.
I just want to congratulate our youth leaders because I think you guys have such a bright future. I was in the planning board meeting last week, and we were talking about the master plan. And one of the members said, wouldn't it be nice to find ways in which we can get our young people involved with even things like the master plan? So I just encourage you guys. You're doing some awesome work in our town, and super, super proud of all the things you're doing.
Deputy Mayor G.
Yes, I just wanted to say congratulations to all of our students. I was at a meeting a couple of weeks ago where there were students trying to figure out what could they be doing to take on leadership roles. And I was so proud to see that one of the students there was a youth advisory board member, and she was able to share what she does as a member of YAB, and how she's able to share those stories as she works on her college application process. And I just think it's such a wonderful thing that you all do. You are light years ahead of most people your age in terms of getting involved in the community, getting involved civically. And so I'm just so unbelievably proud of you. I also want to thank all the adult advisors. You've all done a phenomenal job this year, recruiting new student members and really keeping up the great work. So thank you all. And I'm sorry that I kept one of your adult advisors away today. He's actually with me here out of the country. So congratulations to everyone.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor G. I also want to say congratulations, but moreover, thank you for being leaders in our community. It really matters. And what you guys do helps. I also want to thank the adult advisors and congratulations, and please keep it up because we love you, we appreciate you, and we need you. You guys really are our future. They used to tell us that when we were little, but it's the absolute truth. So please keep doing what you do, and thank you so much. Please give them a round of applause, everybody. And happy birthday, Ellie Whitecats. Yeah, if anyone wants cupcakes, Ellie brought some cupcakes. Our next order of business is work session items, and first up is miscellaneous. Does anyone have anything under miscellaneous?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
personnel, the full council met with applicants for advisory boards last meeting. And I would like to make a motion for the following nominations: Avi Berliner as the soccer rep for Fields Advisory Board, Ryan Lugo for the football rep for the Fields Advisory Board, Howard Rose for the Cedar Lane Management Group, and Stephen Becker for the Hackensack River Greenway Advisory Board.
I'll second that.
So sorry, one more time.
Avi Berliner for soccer for Fields, the Fields rep for soccer. Ryan Lugo, the football rep for Fields. Howard Rose for the Cedar Lane Management Group, and Stephen Becker for the Hackensack River Greenway.
Doug, I second. I'm gonna let Ellie in.
Nominations to be considered at the next meeting via resolution. First from Councilman Goldberg, second from Mayor Pagan. Councilman Schwartz. Councilman Belcher.
Yes.
Councilman Goldberg.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz. The nominations.
Nominations.
Yes. Deputy Mayor G.
Yes.
Mayor Pagan.
Yes.
We will see resolutions in August.
Does anyone else on council have anything miscellaneous? Seeing no hands. Does anyone on council have anything under old business?
Sorry, I had
Oh, I'm
my
sorry.
hand
I'm
up,
sorry,
Mr. Mayor.
Danielle. Is your hand up?
It was up, yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I guess a point of clarification. So I did have a comment regarding the budget. Do you want me to speak to it now or later?
Later during budget, if that's okay.
Yep, that's fine.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Does anyone have anything under old business? Does anyone have anything under new business? I see sunshine notice making August 20th council meeting to August 22nd. Doug, that was you.
Just an FYI.
Yeah. Anybody else have anything under new business? Moving along, communications, committee reports by council liaisons, schedule a budget meeting to begin forecasting 2025. Is that you, Councilwoman Goldberg, or
No, I have a
Mr. Schwartz?
PPRB report, but I think budget is Councilmember Schwartz, so if he wants to go.
Mr. Schwartz, is that you, sir?
And we can maybe talk about it in a budget. We talk about it now. I'm not sure if my mic's working. We would like to schedule, just to keep everyone, informed tonight. We're going to be voting on the budget. I know at this particular point in every meeting in the last 2 or 3 months, people have asked about the budgets. We've discussed it. The night that we've all been waiting for is here. But to jumpstart to next year, obviously every family, person, work, and municipality is going through hardships. So what we're looking to do is jumpstart our meeting schedule for next year's budget. It is looking obviously rough. And so we want to start looking at ways we can take action. So when we come to the cycling of voting on it next spring, we will have, we can hopefully have a much smoother process. There was a meeting set. I don't recall the date. It was Councilman Mayor.
We said, September, but I think I think we should probably talk sooner in August if we can, even if it's by Zoom. I think we have a lot of vacations, but it's important.
So, Mr. Sevo, I think you wanted that also. You wanted us to move the meeting that was scheduled. Deputy Mayor G, if that's all right, if we communicate and move the meeting up from September into August, if that's all right?
Yes, that's fine.
Because of the CFO? Okay, so we're gonna start working on that so we can kind of start narrowing it down and maybe even get a 0, Mr. CFO. Is that looking for good for next year? With a bunch of double digits in front of it? No.
He doesn't have a microphone, so
He has a microphone.
he
for a
can't
reason.
respond.
It's a nodding head on 0. No. Okay.
So you could do it. We have confidence in
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. Anybody else have anything? Committee reports?
I have a PPRB report. So PPRB met last week. Their next meeting is September 4th. There was some discussions on resident requests about splash pads and other parks and mulch replacement. Glenna said that there's PO entered for the mulch, so we're waiting on those replenishments, and August is movies in the park for everybody. There's also some discussion about senior classes for non-retired individuals over the age of 50. So if anybody's wondering, if you're over 50 and still working, you can still attend the evening classes, but they're not for free. There's been more discussions about pocket parks and quiet parks, and those are 2 different things. So once identified the areas for some of the ideas that were discussed were walking paths, benches, chessboards, some potential discussion about a pocket park in the Ardsley Court area. But PPRB and most are going to be looking at that, finding a date for a parks tour. There was a presentation about Brooks Park, where there was some issues identified about the water fountain, the walkway potentially being dangerous with scooters and pedestrians getting in the way. And also there was a request about signs. I already sent that to the manager and she acted on that immediately. So thank you for that. And then there was some discussions about Wi-Fi in the parks and Voti pool. I know Glenna was checking to see if we can expand the access in the Voti pool area, so people that are working from home over the summer can work in the parks. If not, I know that there's some grants for this exact reason on the federal level, so maybe that's something we can look at. And PPRB voted unanimously, and I do support this idea. We received grant money for Sagamore Park for next year, which is scheduled to be the park to be renovated next year. Engineering and the environmental studies are not budgeted for or scheduled, so PPRB asked that we authorize the manager to begin the environmental and engineering studies for Sagamore now and use the most funds to do that, so that in 8 to 9 months, when the funds come in from Green Acres, the project is ready to go and our residents don't need to wait more time for that park renovation. So they voted unanimously that we authorize this. I support the use of most funds for this, so I wanted to actually make a motion that we ask the manager that next meeting, we do a resolution to get the work started using most funds for the engineering and environmental study.
Which area is that?
For Sagamore Park. Thank you.
Okay, I don't know. We did a roll call on that stuff.
Isn't that exploratory? Aren't we exploring this? It's
The park's already on the list. We already got the Green Acres funds, so it's just the engineering and environmental work needs to be done.
looking into that.
We don't need a formal vote? So we can do that? Is everyone, well, I think I want to make sure everyone's okay with that.
I'm okay with
There was a first from Councilwoman Goldberg and a second from Mayor Pagan, Councilman Schwartz, Councilman Belcher.
Are we exploring this or we're voting on it now? I mean, what are we?
We're
So it's
directing the
voting to-
manager.
It's voting to have the manager bring the contract so engineering can get started so that when the Green Acres money comes in and it's ready to go, residents don't have to wait. So that we're doing the work now, everything else is coming out of Green Acres, but using most to just do the work now so that 8 to 9 months, whatever that time is, we can get to work and we don't have to wait another 8 to 9 months ahead.
Okay. Justin?
All right, continue with the roll. I'm so sorry. Councilman Goldberg,
Yes.
Councilman Organ, sorry, Deputy Mayor Katz,
yes.
Deputy Mayor G,
Yes.
Mayor Pagan.
Sir.
Okay, Ms. Hashmat will do that.
Thank you, Ms. Clark. Does anyone have anything else under committee reports? Ms. Belcher?
Yeah, just historic preservation met our last meeting before the break for summer. We talked extensively about markers that are going to be placed, that are slated to be placed in the next few months between now and the end of the year. So there are some exciting things that will be coming up in terms of historic preservation. Just to remind people that there is an interactive map, which Mr. Clerk, we can make sure that we can get that on our new website once we stand that website up. Just also want to mention the planning board is in the midst of in the last meeting last week, they had a great presentation by Barbara Davis regarding the open space recreation plan. We are looking to have a second meeting open to the public this week and on the 18th, Thursday, the 18th. So those that want to come out and hear more about the open space recreation plan, please do so. It also will be videoed. So that's something that is important because it's been a minute since the planning board has really looked at this plan. And so it's a real win-win for our township. And lastly, the planning board's master plan review is in process, and you all should be hearing more about that shortly. Thank you.
Ms. Belcher, Mr. Schwartz?
Yes, we had the Cedar Lane Management Group had the Cedar Lane meeting. As you heard tonight, Howard Rose was nominated to the board. We also had quite a bit of attendees, including Dr. Yuck, who's here tonight as well, and learning more and more about the Cedar Lane Management Group. So that meeting is usually the first Wednesday or so of every month. And if anyone wants to come on out, please do so. 6:30, first Wednesday of every month.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. Anyone else with committee reports?
Not in August. Thank you. Thanks.
Next order of business is council listed items, proposed resolution, Councilwoman Goldberg, amend 2023-2024 council subcommittees. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Yeah, so I mentioned this last meeting. after good and welfare, we've been getting a lot of conversations from residents about traffic. And I'd mentioned that we're looking at this one-off as residents come by, and we should be looking at this holistically. There's already, and again, we talked about this briefly last meeting, there's already the LEAF subcommittee, which, so my resolution resolution is to amend the LEAF, subcommittee to include, pedestrian safety, so to speak. So that's Deputy Mayor Katz, Councilwoman Organ, and myself. So this is following up on what, I raised at the end of last, meeting after good and welfare. So I would like to make a motion to add this to the consent agenda. So it's to look at the pedestrian and traffic safety that residents have been raising holistically rather than one-offs. This way we can look at the work holistically at the town and then come to council with suggestions instead of saying, okay, this street, this street, this street. It's a holistic approach. We're amending LEAFs, just expanding its scope.
Mr. Mayor, I have my hand up.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. The floor is yours, Deputy Mayor G.
So it's leaves.
So I'm interested in that topic as well. I'm not sure why it's merging with leaves. I think there are some of us that are on fewer committees that may have more time available that could address this. So I just wonder if there's a way to allow other folks to raise their hands to cover this as well, rather than tacking it on to an already existing committee like leaves.
I'm fine if somebody else wants to do it.
Mr. Mayor, I'm
Deputy
fine
Mayor Katz.
giving my position to Deputy Mayor G.
Your hand is up again, Deputy Mayor. The floor is yours, ma'am.
Oh, no. I forgot to lower it. Sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
I'm fine with Deputy Mayor's suggestion.
Councilwoman Goldberg?
I think it's very kind of Deputy Mayor Katz to give up his position. Only comment I would make, I think it's a good idea. I think that, since we all get calls from different residents about scenarios like this, that it might be good to look at where we all live in light of, maybe having representation from different parts of the town. That's the only comment I would make.
So actually on that note, I know technically the environmental commission's not meeting till tomorrow, but on their agenda, they're talking about doing a walk audit. So kind of in line with this, but they want to do, it's following the AARP model and literally exactly what you're saying. So they would be picking a neighborhood based on the street repaving schedule. So that way we're not looking at something that was just repaved that can't be done, and working with age friendly and residents across the board to be able to walk neighborhoods with pre-made sheets by AARP. So that way we have the data, and it's whether it's residents pushing a stroller or it's disabled or old, young. I mean, we all have different experiences and we all walk differently, so to speak. So they're going to be identifying their own neighborhood, their statutory board. So it's a totally different thing, but exactly to your point of different neighborhoods. But I just think we get a lot of legitimate traffic stuff, and we should be looking at it holistically so that we can really look at it overall. So 100%. And the EC, the chair of the EC, Hildy, is going to be looking at that too through AARP and including age friendly.
Sure, and another great resource is we have 5 neighborhood associations in our town. So perhaps even looking at them as a source of a resource for us.
Yeah, there's a the EC is a statutory board, so there's a meeting literally tomorrow. They're discussing it. So if anybody wants to go tomorrow and listen in, that's being presented, I think, by Hildy tomorrow.
Mr. Clerk, I think we have a first and a second on the floor.
Do we have to amend the motion? So it's Deputy Mayor G, Councilwoman Organ, and Councilwoman Goldberg, or I don't care if somebody wants to swap with me.
I'm okay with just.
Okay.
So who was the first? Apologies.
Hillary.
Councilwoman
Second.
Goldberg, second Mayor Pagan, Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilwoman Belcher,
Yes.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor G,
Yeah.
Mayor Pagan.
Yes.
This is resolution 236-2024 on tonight's consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Our next order of business is our Township Manager's report. Ms. Hashmat.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, everyone. I would like to begin my report with several announcements. Due to the heat advisory in place through tomorrow, cooling centers have been opened at both the Rhoda Center from 4 to 10 p.m. and the library from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Please feel free to utilize these locations to cool off from the extreme temperatures. Teaneck Junior Soccer League has extended their early bird registration until August 15th. Nixle messaging and social media postings are available for your reference. The Township's Emergency Operations Plan has been approved by both the New Jersey State and Bergen County Office of Emergency Management. This plan is effective until July 2026, and a new format will be pending for our next renewal process. Polina Medical Center is hosting a blood drive on August 13th from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the Rhoda Center. You will also see Nixle messaging reminding you. There is a reminder that there will be a Green Acres public hearing for the Route 4 Palisade Ave project that will take place on July 30th at 6 p.m. at the Rhoda Center. Residents are invited to attend. The proposed parkland diversions and disposals will involve minor easements on 7 properties along Route 4 to accommodate improvements to the roadway, bridge replacement, subsurface drainage basin, and the acceleration and de-acceleration lanes near Bell Ave. Written comments will also be accepted by August 15th, and you can call our office if you have any questions. Around August 6th, Chadwick Road will be experiencing a traffic pattern change. There will be no outlet from Grange Road and Cedar Lane. This road currently has a signboard in place to prepare residents and motorists of the change. A permanent cul-de-sac will be in place in the near future. The Teaneck Police Department will be hosting National Night Out on August 6th at Votee Park from 5 to 8 p.m. Please join us for entertainment, food, fun, and information. The Votee Park pool is open daily, Monday to Friday, 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., weekends 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. through Labor Day. Our splash pads are now open 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. as well. Summer band concerts will begin each Wednesday starting July 31st at 8 p.m. at the Votee Park Band Shell. And our Movies in the Park is also returning at Votee Park Band Shell, scheduled for August 13th, August 20th, and August 27th, starting at 7:45 p.m. As the mayor mentioned, our next council meeting is moved to August 22nd, so please update your calendars. The estimated third quarter tax bills were mailed on July 3rd. Save the date. Teaneck Day is now scheduled for the weekend of September 7th and 8th. Saturday evening, there will be a movie. Sunday, September 8th will be a day of events in Votee Park and also fireworks at sundown. More details will be to come at the next meeting. The upcoming planning board meetings have been moved to the Rhoda Center for the remainder of the year in room MP1. Now I'm going to move on to some project updates for everyone. Our library renovation project continues to move forward with preparation for closure on September 3rd. As suggested, we will be placing a trial drop-off location and in the municipal building here for the convenience of our residents. It will be a trial. We're going to monitor it and make sure we can manage it, and I will report back if we have to make any changes. The drop-off location will be available from Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Votee Park tennis court lights have been ordered and we are awaiting delivery. We expect to start construction in August. The Votee Park restroom building is scheduled for August delivery as well. Bell Ave drainage project, we are currently awaiting Green Acres to respond to the compensation proposal. Herrick Park, we rebid the baseball and basketball portion of the bid since the original bids came in at over $963,000. Our lowest bid now came in at $777,264.43. So we will be awarding the bid with a resolution on tonight's meeting, and a pre-con meeting will be scheduled within 4 to 6 weeks to move forward with that. The Herrick Park restroom and spray park meeting took place today, so we're moving forward with that, and our children's playground pre-con meeting is scheduled for tomorrow. Our stormwater mapping update, contractor is in place and the engineers are currently reporting to the township sites. It will take us about 6 to 8 months to gather this information and review everything, and we will, and I will provide an update. The CSX crosswalk, Scott Salmon will give us an update on that. We have had preliminary discussions with CSX. Road resurfacing, we began on July 8th. Concrete work is the first steps that we've started on a few streets with curb repair and driveway apron repair. We'll be paving a total of 16 streets, so I will continue to update us as we make progress. CDBG road improvements, we've completed 4 streets so far. Argonne tennis courts, Bergen County Open Space Grant is for $100,000. The design is currently underway, and I will give an update at the next meeting. The Phelps Park splash pad is also in the design phase. Sagamore Park improvements is a matching grant for $750,000, and we are awaiting Green Acres procedural letter so we can start our drainage improvements. Our website is still under review. I'm hoping to have a more concrete update at the next meeting. Hopefully, we will be launching our website before September. Empathy training was canceled, and we are going to have an open discussion about next steps with that. Mayor, if we can discuss that. Some updates, some residents brought to our attention last meeting. I just wanted to give a few updates. A 4-way stop was requested at Grayson. I did receive a report from the police department. I haven't had a full chance to review it, so I will review it this week and get back to everyone on that 4-way stop. The ADA ramps at Queen Anne Road is currently under review by our engineer. They're going to inspect and see if we need to make some repairs there. And also the signs by Mildred and Johnson, I believe there were some street signs that needed to be fixed. Our DPW went out and took care of those. Grant updates for tonight. The lead grant assistance program, an extension is granted till December 31st. Our health department is aware and we'll be using those funding. It's around $20,000. We're going to try to utilize those funds for inspections, our lead inspections. Now I would like to give you a short overview of our 2024 municipal budget revisions. If Doug could put the slides up for me. I just wanted to give you a progress update tonight. We're looking to intro our budget. Our cell phone tower bids were opened on July 9th. We received $3.55 million for a 60-year easement. We are planning to utilize $2 million of the sale of the cell tower in 2024 and anticipate other additional revenues to reduce increase to 4.99 on tax rate, 4.99%. The consultant will receive 2.875% of sale per contract, which is about $102,000 and $102,065. The remaining approximate 1.45 million will be available for use in 2025 or future municipal budgets. Our budget maintains all township services at this time. Our hiring freeze will remain in place unless we are backfilling a vacant position due to a resignation or retirement at this time. 2024 municipal tax on average home valued at $628,114.12, an increase of $220.66 from 2023. 2025 budget remains a challenge for us as a township. We are currently looking at a double-digit increase despite our $1.447 million in cell tower funds that we are putting into this year's budget. So we're making the most responsible decision to use these funds in this year, the $2 million and the additionals for next year's budget for 2025. That is all I have for tonight, Mayor.
Thank you, Ms. Hashmat. Attorney's report, Mr. Salmon.
First of all, Ms. Hashmat, copy of CSX and welcome back. I want to talk about two ordinances that are scheduled for introduction. First one is ordinance 18/2024. Basically, the township code requires a new aside a certain percentage of their units to help the township comply with the affordable housing obligation. So if a developer is building a building in town, say it has, totally making up numbers here, let's say it has 108 new units, they may be required to set aside 15% of those units to be dedicated to affordable housing. That example, math, but correctly, that would mean that they need to build 16.2 affordable housing units. Obviously, you can't build 0.2 of a unit without causing a lot of other problems. There has been some discussion between the township and some of the developers in town, how the township should be compensated for that 0.2, that 0.2 of a unit, fractional unit, because it's something that we are still entitled to. So what we did was we looked at what other municipalities do in situations like this. We found that they assign a value to a single affordable housing unit. Then you just multiply the fractional units by whatever the value of a single unit. So, and that money then gets paid to the township to compensate us for the two of a unit, that example, that they would otherwise be required to build. The value that we found in terms of appropriate, about $180,000 per unit. So using the example, the developer would pay the township $36,000, 180,000 times 2, and that money gets paid towards the township affordable housing trust fund. Pretty straightforward ordinance. It is fairly common in a number of other municipalities, and make sure that the township receives full value of what we're entitled to receive under our. That's one of the ordinances that we're going to use. Second is ordinance. The second I want to mention is Ordinance 19, 2024. This is an amendment to our stormwater control ordinance. This is an ordinance that we are required under state law to have. It conforms to the model ordinance that is drafted, created by the Department of Environmental Protection. Essentially, what the stormwater control ordinance does, sets forward a number of requirements, any major development in the township, to minimize pollution caused by stormwater runoff that happens whenever you build a large structure with a lot of impervious surfaces. There's just a lot of water runoff that can happen from it. These ordinances are meant to regulate that and provide certain requirements to developers happen. It is not something that a random residential homeowner who has a single family house, it's not something that you guys are going to ever have to deal with. It really only affects certain commercial developments as well as parts of large residential developments that have to involve creating at least a quarter of an acre's worth of impervious land. Okay, it's not something that a regular homeowner has to deal with for large developments. The amendments that are in this ordinance are things that were, again, required by state law. The short version of what they do is they change the formulas that are used to determine what kind of stormwater protections that developers need to have in place. The DEP looked at the increasing number of once in a century type storms that we've been having. Because of that, they've been increasing frequency, so they increase the protections that have to be put in place by these developers. It's obviously especially important here in Teaneck, given our location. I reviewed these changes with our township here. Commission has looked at it as well. And aside from helping the township comply with the state required to do, we believe that this ordinance and the requirements in it will help reduce the effect have on the township if there are new developments.
Mr. Attorney, I have a quick question. It just occurred to me on that one. This ordinance with the payment for the partial units, how does that allocate under the new affordable housing law as far as the points, for our accounts? I know that there's different point systems under the, you can come back to us. I just wasn't sure if you knew.
No, it's just February. So it's, I would say it doesn't really affect, it doesn't affect the numbers that we're required to meet. It's not creating a new unit for the equivalent of a new. It's just for because it's really only for those fractional units. It's something that we wouldn't get credit for otherwise because it's built. So it doesn't affect. Really the only thing it does is give it that for us.
Thank you.
I have a question. So the adding of that money to our affordable housing trust fund, it's money that is specifically earmarked for that.
Right.
So it cannot be used for anything other than the Affordable Housing Trust Fund.
That's exactly right. So it's not, it's not money that we put in our budget, for example, but it is money that we put towards creating more.
Anyone else? Thank you, Mr. Salmon. Our next order of business is our public hearing and adoption of ordinances. Mr. Clerk, can you please read the titles of the ordinances into the record?
For the second time this evening, Mayor. First up, we have ordinance 14-2024, amending section 36-11.2 of chapter 36, the Township Code for the Township of Teaneck, adding restricted on-street parking spaces for handicap at 1494 Champlain Square. We have ordinance number 15-2024, establishing salary ranges and classification of positions for municipal employees in the township. We also have ordinance number 16-2024, amending the Township Code to revise parking laws on Ayers Court. And that's all, Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Public hearing on these ordinances and these three ordinances alone are now open. Any member of the public wishing to be heard on any of these three ordinances will be called on and will state their names for the record. If you are on Zoom, please list your first name and your last name if you want to be called on. And when called on, please turn your camera on. Comments or questions shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. And again, just a friendly reminder, this public hearing is on these three ordinances only. Does anyone in the audience want to talk about one of these three ordinances? Mr. Berliner.
Avi Berliner, Teaneck resident, real quickly, for the 2-hour timed parking by Ayers Court, without a code enforcement officer, our police officer is now going to have to go and hand out parking tickets. I understand the desire to open up parking for all of the businesses that are in that area of town, but are we going to enforce it? With who? And if we're not going to enforce it, then why are we adding this on to the book of current ordinances? Thank you.
Anyone on Zoom, Doug? Anyone else in the audience want to talk about one of these three ordinances? Seeing no hands, the public hearing is closed. Oh, wait, sorry. Go ahead, sir. No, that will be good and welfare, which comes up soon. And then you can talk about anything you want during good and welfare. So Mr. Schwartz? Yes, sir.
Just to answer the question, this was I discussed at the primary in Ayers. This was the first 175 feet or so of parking on both sides. It's not all the way back. It allows several more spots for people to go into our stores. Just because we do or do not enforce something doesn't mean we don't have it on the books. Otherwise, we would just never have any speeding. So we hope that people abide by it. And if we choose to enforce it, and which of course we always try to, we'll do so. Ironically, I've been getting a lot of complaints from residents about enforcement, people parking. I got a complaint this week that you got a ticket in a handicap spot, and I actually thought it was a joke. So whatever the police have been doing lately, thank them very much, because people are starting to get that message that we need to follow the rules.
Thank you, Mr. Schwartz. Anyone else? And the folks with the signs, I just ask if you could please not block the camera so people at home can see what's going on. So if you can, please just don't block the camera. In that case, I make a motion to approve the three ordinances.
Councilman Schwartz. Councilwoman Belcher.
Yes.
Excuse me. Councilwoman Goldberg.
Yes.
Council, Deputy Mayor Katz.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor G.
Yes.
Mayor Pagan.
Yes.
Adopted.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Our next order of business is good and welfare. Any member of the public wishing to be heard at this time will be called on and will state their names for the record. Comments shall be limited to 3 minutes per person. If you are on Zoom, please list your first name and your last name if you want to be called on, and please turn your cameras on when speaking. Thank you. Anyone in person want to speak? The gentleman in the back row.
Hi, Matt here. I wanted to talk about parking on Walraven and how it is illegal to park in certain spots and blocking driveways. Fortunately, I got a ticket yesterday because there was a car blocking my driveway, and the police officer told me to call the Teaneck Police Department to have somebody sent out. But I did that also. I didn't do that, unfortunately, in that time, but I've done it before in the past, and I do have video evidence that it takes 1 to 2 hours for a police officer to respond. I was parked there for 20 minutes, loading my car up. So I wanted to address that situation. And then also a second part of on Queen Anne Road between State Street. Yes, sure.
And did you state your name for the record, sir? If you could give us your name?
Yeah, Matthew Garner.
Check.
Matthew Garner. Matthew Garner, resident on Walraven. So I was yesterday, I was loading up my car. I was trying to park in my paid parking spot, but unfortunately, there was a car blocking the spot, and a police officer drove by and gave me a ticket while I had my hazards on, loading up my car, waiting for just trying to get my kid in the car, who's 10 days old. 10 days, yes. So I am here right now to try and talk to you guys and let's get something done, because unfortunately people continuously park illegally. Yesterday, a good friend of mine was also parked there trying to get her son into her apartment, who was also one witness I talked to said there was a car while a lady was walking with her stroller crossing the street. There are those signs that say stop for pedestrians. The lady in the car barreled right through the sign, slamming it down on the ground, and then kept driving off, not with any view for the public safety. So I think we need to, I know the signs that have flashing are very expensive. I think an officer told me it was like $10,000 to $15,000. But I think we need to do something, especially with the schools there. And during the year, there are hundreds of students that go out for lunch, and I know the speed limit's 25, but cars are for sure going 40 miles an hour down the road. So I think we need to do something about this and do it fast and get more police officers out on the road to ticket people for flying past people when they're walking. Thank you.
Thank you. Doug, someone on Zoom?
I have Adam Weissman. Please unmute. Please unmute to say your name for the record. You have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Adam Weissman. People like me are supposed to come up here tonight and denounce Mayor Pagan's ridiculous letter in response to last week's protest. That was the point, after all. How else can anyone interpret Pagan's absurd claim that he didn't see genocide on his guided tour within the 67 borders, akin to someone denying the Holocaust because they didn't see gas chambers and crematoria in the city when they visited Berlin? Pagan's letter only makes sense when you consider that he has a problem to solve. What happens when you need to get back on a candidate slate with a guy after stabbing him in the back? As Mark Mendy Schwartz wrote, I cannot imagine the type of person that would promise support knowing you are inviting your family or friends in your community near and far, only to plan to embarrass you and cut an underhanded side deal in order to, quote, live my dream since I'm 10 years old to be mayor, to turn on those that invested their time, energy, and efforts in your success for no reason without any comment, to do so while offering assurances of support. Who would do such a thing? Your next mayor of Teaneck. One cannot serve two masters. I serve the people of this community. Mike Pagan has shown that he prioritizes service to those that will personally help him advance above all, end quote. How can Mendy accept petty Pagan back onto his slate after rightly identifying him as a shameless opportunist rather than a genuine public servant? It would call into question Mark's dedication to Teaneck. Well, a guy who prioritizes service to those that will personally help him advance needs to know how to work the angles. For Michael Pagan, the last 8 months haven't been a time of horror and tragedy. They've been an opportunity. He calculated that if he threw in hard with Teaneck's Israel supporters, Schwartz's base, and showed open contempt and provoked angry responses from Teaneck's Arabs, Muslims, and other opponents of genocide, he'd be such a beloved figure, the token Latino Zionist, New Jersey's answer to Richie Torres, that many would just have to let him back on the slate as the enemy of their enemy. Thus, at a time when national figures are urging us to take down the temperature on political debate, Pagan seeks to inflame tensions and deepen conflict in Teaneck to his own advantage. If he actually cared about Teaneck and not just himself, he would have followed the example of the Teaneck high school students who sought to build bridges rather than burn them. Pagan knew his Israel trip would provoke outrage in one segment of the community and delight among Schwartz slate voters whose joy would be compounded in seeing the other segment of the community outraged, leading them to view Pagan as an ally rather than a backstabbing traitor. Unfortunately for Mike, no one took the bait of protesting his trip, so he jumped at the chance to issue his absurd letter once there finally was a protest he could denounce last week, hoping for an angry response. None of us should be taken in by this manipulative, self-interested huckster. He doesn't care about Palestine or Israel or Teaneck. Our town deserves so much better. Let's get rid of this creep this November. Thank you.
Ms. Silverberg.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My concerns are a little bit more focused on Teaneck. First of all, I want to congratulate Ms. Hashmat and welcome you, and I hope that you will have a good experience here in Teaneck. We need that. I wanted to also bring to your attention that the famous stop sign that's at Decatur that was installed, people are not used to stopping there, so it's not doing the trick. I wondered if there was some other thing we could do, put a second stop sign right there or something on the pavement that would call to their attention. I can't tell you how many times I've come around that corner and had near miss. I've been there with Karen. She knows what I'm talking about. It's in the neighborhood. You know where it is, Deputy Mayor Katz. And I just also want to say that and I believe this falls under the town manager, the DPW around here, which is usually criticized up the wazoo, is instead sometimes due for some praise. The removal of the garden debris, there was an enormous amount of garden debris. It was heavy, it was tied poorly. They did a fantastic job, and I tried to call today because I came back and I couldn't believe how wonderful it was, but I wasn't able to locate where it should be. So if you would pass the information along, I'd be very grateful. I would like to just assure the community that because our library is having to close for a period of time that would make it hazardous for patrons to be in the building, it means that there's still going to be library services at all the other Buckles libraries, about 4 or 5 of which are within 2 miles from here. So it's not going to be our library, but there will be library services. I would advise everybody, however, that if your library card needs revision, if you need to update it or upgrade it or get one for the first time, that you do it now, because after August 27th, approximately, you'll have to go over to New Milford to do any kind of library business. So I wanted to just mention that. And I have a really good idea what you can do with the extra $1.4 million, because there's a lot of work that still has to be done there, like toilets. Thank you, everybody. Welcome.
Doug, someone on Zoom?
I have Chuck Powers queued up. You have 3 minutes. 3 minutes, Chuck Powers.
Like most people in this town, I have some views about the international issues. I'm going to focus on township governance issues in my next few minutes. I want to thank the new manager, not only for her good summary of the budget as is being introduced tonight. I thought that was an excellent job, but also the fact that she knows how to speak into a microphone and be heard by all, which is apparently not what our attorney is going to. I'll come back to that in a minute. I want to note the fact that we are still looking at a 4.99 increase in the budget and ask the question about the relationship of the estimated of the tax bills that all of us received within the last 10 days and the introduced budget. Is that based on the introduced budget and the $2 million use of the $3.55 million cell phone tower? That's a question that I would like to have either the manager or the CFO explain to us. I was very disappointed in the fact that the two issues, which I'm very glad the attorney explained at some depth tonight, he was prepared to talk about. The only problem is he didn't put the microphone anywhere near his mouth, and every time he got asked the question by a member of the council, he looked away. We have no idea. It's very, look at this stormwater thing. That ordinance, when it's going to be passed on the 22nd of August, we need to understand much more concretely and fully what it is. And we needed to hear every word the attorney said. I heard maybe three words out of every sentence. I have no idea what it was that he said. And we also need his picture of whether or not what we're getting when people who are developers decide they don't want to put an affordable housing unit, but they want to contribute to the affordable housing unit trust fund, what it is that makes us think that that calculation of that amount of money that is being used instead of providing additional affordable housing, what actually is happening with that. We need a very good explanation from our attorney of those two ordinances, and we got something, but I didn't hear a thing about it tonight. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Powers. Sir, in the third row. We can hear you. We can hear you. What was your name for the record?
Problem that I'd like to discuss with you, something that brings up. I look at the corner of the battle corner of Bergen Avenue and kind of L-shaped. And my pride and joy is my lawn. I water it every day. I make sure it's nice. My big problem is that some of my neighbors, they have dogs. They like to walk dogs. Have dogs do their business on the tracks. Like putting up signs, and trying to go out there and catch them sometime, and it's like, what do you do? Put conversation. Excuse me, mind hurting your dog, take the animal out in the street. I love dogs. I do. I don't like what they do. That's the whole idea. Now, you see, I have a problem when I have a person that lives down the block. They'll bring the dog up to my house.
have to go into business there, they go back down. The block. So that's not. It's kind of funny, and that I have to bring this up in the meeting. And like I said, I'm here, it's my first meeting, and I'm sorry about that, but it will not be my last. Thank you.
Doug, someone on Zoom?
Sherry Ann, please unmute, 3 minutes.
Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Sherry Eid, lifelong Teaneck resident. I just want to explain to some of our fellow residents and our council members that you all keep saying we want to focus on Teaneck issues, and I appreciate that and I respect that. I do. However, a good deal of us in this town identify with folks who are being genocided right now. And we can't move on. We cannot have business as usual because this is continuing to happen without any acknowledgement, without any slowing down. And it is continuing to be celebrated on social media by some folks who are elected officials in this town. And that's unfair. I'm going to take a very short period of time. I'm not going to take my whole 3 minutes, but I need us all to realize that us that are bringing up this genocide meeting after meeting, we do care about Teaneck. And that's why we keep talking about this, because if it was anything happening to anybody else in this community, we would be talking about it with as much vigor and as much, strength. But we're being silenced. We are not being heard. We're not being listened to. And we want for everybody to acknowledge the fact that this is happening to people that worship like us, speak the same native language as us. And if it wasn't happening to those that we identify with, we would still be speaking up for them because injustice is injustice is injustice. Thank you.
Someone on this side? Mr. Siegel?
Good evening. My name is Rich Siegel. Is this mic okay? All right.
Please don't block the camera, sir.
It's okay. I may block the camera. I feel like this mic is distorting. Is it?
No, we can hear you. We can hear you. If you don't touch it, it won't.
It's distorted. Check 1, 2, check 1. Check 1, 2, check 1, 2. One, 2. It's not. Testing 1, 2. All right, don't worry about the volume as long as it's not feeding back. Okay, my name is Rich Siegel. I'm a Teaneck resident. I'm Jewish. I'm an anti-Zionist Jew. The IHRA definition of anti-Semitism that's being pushed by one of our council members makes it as though I don't exist as an anti-Zionist Jew. We exist. I'm sad, heartbroken, disgusted. Right now, I've been shown a social media post where there was a beheaded Palestinian boy, one of the more than 17,000 children murdered by Israel. But this one was beheaded. And a member of our town council wrote in a comment, Am Yisrael Chai. I don't even know what to say.
Wait, time out. Sir, that sign, one side of that sign, no, the other side of the sign, please don't show that. You're saying something about one of the council members. It's disrespectful and it's rude. So please don't show that. It looks like you're trying to show it on the camera, so please don't do that. I'm sorry for interrupting, Mr. Siegel.
That's okay. So I got an email actually from this same council member because, I send too many emails to the town council. I'm sorry about that. I don't know what to do about my frustrations and my passions, but So this council member writes me back. He says, you know, you should come to Israel again. You'd like it better. There's more black and brown people there. And there's Arab members of the Knesset. Wow, wow. So I'm going to talk about that for a minute. Let's talk about black people in Israel. So in the 1970s, there was a decision that Zionism was racism. So Israel decided to rescue Ethiopian Jews, black Jews from Ethiopia. And so there was then a population of Ethiopian Jews. And then a group of Nigerian Jews wanted to come, and Israel said, no, we have enough black people. So the Nigerian Jews were denied, but the Ethiopian Jews were already there. But they decided, well, we have enough black people, we don't want them to reproduce. So the black Ethiopian Jewish women have been involuntarily sterilized. That means they go to have a baby and they come home and they find out they can't have another one. Or they go to a gynecology appointment and they find out they're sterile. This is what Israel has been intentionally doing to their black citizens. So don't tell me I'm going to like Israel better because there's black and brown people. I don't have enough time to talk about the Arab members of the Knesset. Maybe I do. I've met with 3 of them. Can you imagine what it's like for them to try to represent their Arab constituents in a Jewish supremacist state? They told me personally, it's hell. Okay, so this is not something to brag about where Israel is concerned. I'm out of time. Thank you.
Someone on Zoom, Doug?
Eliza Leon?
Hi, I hope everyone's doing well. I wanted, sorry, my camera is not on. This is Elise Leon. I live in Teaneck on Werner Place. I am calling because I wanted to welcome the new town manager, and I wanted to bring something up that was on the old town manager's list of things to do that never got tackled. So I kind of want to just bring it up as old news and now new news. Werner Place, the street in Teaneck, the top of it has not been paved in many, many, many years. It's just a bunch of rocks, little rocks. And every single year, the rocks fall down the hill of the street, marking up the street, causing potholes, destroying our cars, our sidewalk, the place where the street and the sidewalk meet. It is, I'm not sure why it is like this, but every year they bring more rocks and new rocks. And Dean was looking into getting it paved up there because it's just a regular street. I'm not sure why it's never been paved. And he said he was going to do it when he was here about 6 months ago. It was the winter. It never happened. And I kind of just want to put it back on your radar. Werner Place needs to be paved on the top of the street. Thanks so much. And I hope you all have a great night.
Thank you, Miss. Ma'am, in the second row. You have 3 minutes, ma'am. Yes.
Good evening. My name is Yehudit Robinson, and I live in Teaneck with my husband and children. Last Tuesday, I faced a dilemma. I had promised my 8-year-old daughter that I would take her out for ice cream, but I learned that an anti-Jewish rally had been scheduled at 6:30 p.m., and I was scared due to the rhetoric of the Instagram ad, Flood Teaneck for Palestine. The flood references the October 7th terror attack, which Hamas calls the Al-Aqsa flood. The rhetoric was so strong in the ad, which included a swear word as well as a modern blood libel about the nature of an event that had been scheduled in Teaneck for that evening. I was scared. Verbal violence and threats carry the risk of becoming violent action. Did I need to stay home and lock the doors so that I could ensure my daughter's safety? I am so grateful for Mayor Pagan's fearless leadership. He courageously wrote, "The misinformation disseminated by the protesters who repeatedly visit our town is dangerous and puts us as Americans and our Jewish residents at risk." I turn to the Muslims in the room and once again extend my hand in greeting. Marhaban, hello. We need to unite and find common ground. We are raising children in Teaneck. when we all gathered this past Thursday, July 11th at 7-Eleven to celebrate Slurpee Day. It was a sign that we can raise our plastic cups together and celebrate summer. Mayor Pagan wrote that during his recent trip to Israel, what I saw were Jews, Muslims, Christians, Druze, and Bedouins living side by side. We here in Teaneck need to get back to a place of living side by side with mutual respect. None of us control what happens overseas, but we all have the ability to influence what happens on the municipal green. I also want to reach out to everyone else in Teaneck who are neither Jewish nor Muslim. You are an important part in the community conversation. How can we work together to make Teaneck our mutual home, a great place in which to raise a family? Outside advocates do not pay overtime for the disturbances they cause.
Please don't interrupt.
Leave the risk of increased tax bills to us. Let us not have this be the legacy of the anti-Jewish actions of the past few months. Let us unite and be the light. I am appealing to the town council to help create more opportunities for Teaneck residents to be able to gather, connect, and find common ground. There may already be some opportunities, such as the recent July 4th parade. With this in mind, I want to thank Cheryl Hall for her deep work with both Interfaith Connections and ABCR. She builds bridges with everyone in our community and is a tireless peacemaker with the many residents of this town. What other opportunities can we create to promote unity? I hope that together we can find salam, peace. Shukran. Thank you.
Someone on Zoom, you should just take the mic with you.
It's a cabling thing. Don't worry about it. We're all good. I have Jonah. Please unmute and state your name for the record.
Hi, this is Jonah Sims, non-resident, and I wasn't planning on speaking tonight, but I'm honestly quite fearful for the way I've seen the past couple of council meetings be run. People being told to take down signs because they're disrespectful. I'm sorry that you feel disrespected, but at the end of the day, we have a First Amendment right. And that First Amendment right supersedes anyone's feelings, anyone feeling disrespected, anyone on this town council, people coming up to town council meetings, getting arrested, getting thrown out for speaking out of turn, for expressing their First Amendment rights. I find it very scary. And again, I was not planning on speaking tonight, but I do find it very scary that people are being told, hey, these signs, I don't agree with this sign. It makes me feel uncomfortable, so you have to put it away. That's disgusting. When you took this oath to take office, you are meant to uphold the Constitution. You are not doing that tonight, and that is scary. That is the beginning of fascism, and that is scary. Let everyone hold up their signs, because that is what we have. That is our protection under our First Amendment rights. We are allowed to do that. We are allowed to hold up signs, no matter if we agree with them, no matter if we disagree with them, no matter if they're rude, no matter if they hurt your feelings. We have that First Amendment right. And when we start infringing on people's First Amendment rights, that is scary and that is disgusting. Thank you.
Someone on this side? Layla Graham?
Hi, my name is Layla Graham, Teaneck resident. I struggled a lot to prepare a statement today. There is a councilman on this dais whose nasty comment mocking the murder of a baby threw me off. It's one thing to address my town and bring awareness to the atrocities taking place in Palestine as we speak at the hands of the fascist Zionist entity, and it's another thing entirely to have to face someone who finds joy in the beheading of a literal child. Ahmed al-Najjar, he was 18 months old. He was displaced from his home and his parents and siblings. Last month, the terrorist Zionist regime ordered an airstrike on a tent city in Rafah, killing hundreds of Palestinians. Ahmed, his mother, and his sister were a few of many of the martyrs. His father, frantic to find his children and wife in the wake of the fire that was consuming the tents after the airstrike, found the decapitated body of his toddler boy. In total shock, he lifted the torso of his baby boy Ahmed was still wearing a diaper. I don't have much else to share. In this past week alone, the terrorist fascist occupational entity has slaughtered hundreds of Palestinians and injured thousands more. I have no hope of swaying any of you. I bear witness to the madness that is this town's complicity in this mass extermination. This councilman that I speak of, you are a disgrace to humanity. Every single Muslim child.
Please don't interrupt.
Every single Muslim child in this town is in danger because of the likes of you. Look at my son. Look at my son. He is a black, brown boy. He is just as enraged as I am at the mass murder of his brothers and sisters in Palestine. And as a mother, nothing matters to me more than the protection of my children. But I bear witness, God is my witness, that I do not believe that my children's safety and well-being is more valuable than the children in Palestine. I grieve for every single soul, nearly 200,000 of them since October. You were an embarrassment to this town. May you get everything you deserve. Free Palestine.
Doug, someone on Zoom, please.
I have Michael Rockland. Michael Rockland is on waiting 3 minutes, my friend. Michael Rockland, 3 minutes, sir.
Thanks, Doug. Hi, everybody. Sorry I couldn't be there in person tonight like I usually like to be. I want to say that I'm very much looking forward to this council seemingly very much leaning in and taking seriously pedestrian safety concerns here in town. I know that you guys have heard me talk about this on and on and on for the past year. And having a dedicated subcommittee for this, I think, is a really great first step. I also look forward to seeing how our new manager can bring some of the best practices that Hackensack has done as they've developed over the past decade. I actually haven't met the manager yet, but I did see a few weeks ago, maybe even a few months ago now, Hackensack followed up on TNEC's lead for having a complete streets policy that, you know, we really were the first ones in 2024 to push for. We've also heard through the grapevine that the county is also looking into establishing their own complete streets policy. And, you know, for all you guys who have relationships with people in the county, I think it's really important that we make sure that we implement this correctly. There's a lot of dollars at stake. There's a lot of potential excellent projects at stake. And, you know, we just got $1.5 million for the crossing over the, or we're about to get, I don't know how it works exactly, for the crossing over the tracks for pedestrian safety. There are pots of money for projects like that that are available at every level of government. And we should be really leaning into those opportunities, finding really great opportunities for connecting to other towns nearby, for connecting our various neighborhoods locally, to make sure that people can get around by ways other than cars. People can get around on bikes. People can get around when they're walking. I think there's really, really excellent opportunities here. One opportunity and one really close to home thing that's going on right now is 4 months after I submitted a comment, I got a letter back from the engineer at the Anderson Street Bridge about my comments. For those who don't know, for about a decade, we've been working on getting that Anderson Street Bridge back up and running. The plan as of right now is to have no bike lanes, 4 lanes of traffic, and each of those lanes are going to be highway-sized 12-foot lanes with 8-foot gutters on the side. That is a recipe for lots and lots of car traffic and a recipe for more accidents like the one that happened on the corner of River Road and Cedar Lane today. So I hope you guys can look into it and look forward to making progress on this important issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rockland. Mr. Kaplan. And again, just a friendly reminder, please don't block the camera.
Thank you, Mayor Pagan and Council, the manager. wanted first to thank our new manager for taking this job. It's not always the easiest of gigs, especially when it comes to a town like Teaneck. The comments that were made about Decatur, I wanted to mention, because when I was on council prior and since, residents have a tendency to know what they want. They have a tendency, through no fault of their own, not to have read the Manual on Uniform Transportation Devices. And there's a lot in there. There's a lot in there about traffic control measures. There's the Green Book that deals with all kinds of issues, from sight triangles and various issues that are published by the federal government. And when you go and take the time to go through it, and you adequately plan appropriate traffic control measures, you tend not to hear from these people again. We had issues where literally a car was on the lawn, teetering on a rock on Garrison by Beverly. They asked for a stop sign. They asked for a bigger stop sign. They asked for a stop sign with lights on it. Today, they asked for a second stop sign at Decatur. They will be back asking for a third, because a stop sign is not going to fix the problem. But what we did on Garrison was we put lines on the road, just lines, a parking lane, because the same reason you've never crashed into a toll booth, but you slow down when you approach them, is that when you see something coming that narrows, you naturally slow down. The lines on Garrison cause people to slow down. And to what I know, for years, this person had been calling the town, complaining about people landing on her lawn, getting into accidents. Has there been a call since? There are ways to approach these problems, but you have to know where to look, because residents ask for a certain thing. They ask for speed bumps. They ask for stop signs. The traffic bureau will go with stop signs. Initially, they'll say no, but eventually they'll do it. But what you have to do is get them to move to something a little harder, because it's going to take a bit of research. It's going to take a bit of engineering. But what you're going to do is solve the problem on the first go, just like complete streets. It's not an instant win, but it's much better in the long run. And my hope is that if we can get somebody in the ranks that's just tasked with ensuring that those kinds of decisions happen, you wind up with much better solutions. And those kinds of things tend to happen with new beginnings. So I am happy that we have, I'm sad to see the old one go, but I am happy that we have a new manager that can, tell the Police Traffic Bureau exactly where to
Thank you,
put it.
Mr. Kaplan. Doug, someone on Zoom.
Cheryl Hall, 3 minutes.
Cheryl, are you there?
Are you guys there, or did you move along?
No, hey, Cheryl, we can hear you loud and clear. You got 3 minutes.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you. Sometimes you have to bring me on as a panelist a little early because it takes time to negotiate with the township. Thank you, everyone. Cheryl Hall, 50+ year resident, lifelong resident here of Teaneck. Thank you to everyone that is there tonight, to all of our wonderful, esteemed council people. And today is a very special day to me as a Catholic, because it's also Our Lady of Mount Carmel Day, and it signifies a special anniversary for me as a third order and lay Carmelite. And with that, I go into put on my hat as an advisory board of community relations member. I just wanted to let everyone know we had a very productive meeting last night. And we have come up with a first draft, which will be sent to council members shortly, of suggested holy days of awareness, so that you can take those into consideration as you mark your upcoming calendar. And we love feedback on that as well. I'd also like to take this moment and with extreme pleasure to announce our 2024 winners of the Matthew Feldman Award, which is our former town manager, Dean Krasinski, and the two wonderful ladies for the youth award who did A Closer Lens, Loria and Rauda. And hopefully those awards will be distributed in September. They were accepted as of June 28th at 12:37 p.m. So I know many of us are looking forward to celebrating so many wonderful people in our township, not just the winners. And I also wanted to thank all advisory board members. You know, we're volunteers and we give a lot of our time and service. And I'd like to personally thank everyone for all the time that they've invested in working and talking with me and giving feedback. I'd also like to put on my interfaith hat a little bit. And now we are 20 communities strong and growing. And I'm going to use the F word in the last 15 seconds. Forgiveness. At some point in time, we as Teaneck residents need to come together. If you want to do that, ask anyone for my contact information. Join me and let's come together in Teaneck.
Thank you, Cheryl. Someone on this side? Mr. Addison?
Good evening, council. Welcome, Township Manager Ray Addison. I'm up here again, and I will be continue to come up to express a request for a compliance officer. I'm not asking for one compliance officer anymore. I'm asking for two, because it seems as though that the town still needs enforcement. It's not a harassment officer. The town needs a compliance officer to make sure that people are compliant with the code. Why put up a stop sign if the officer is not going to write a ticket if someone runs a stop sign? In certain areas in town, there's garbage on the street that's not picked up by the local garbage people. There are grills, there are constructions. It's on the sidewalk. It's hampering pedestrian travel. It looks disgusting. There are commercial vehicles parked on the street after 9 o'clock at night, which is a violation of the code. No one is picking up on it. Is that because it's in certain areas in town? What happens if I move that into one of your areas in town? I'm sure that it will be taken care of immediately. Compliance officer doesn't mean that you have to penalize individuals. It means that you will let them know maybe that they're not in compliance. And if a person knows that they need to be in compliance, it will motivate them to do the right thing. What's so difficult? Sometimes I think maybe we don't want a compliance officer because maybe we have property that's not in compliance. We need to stop bickering. We need to put Teaneck back on the map. Teaneck is a wonderful place, but when you ride down Teaneck Road and you see grass overgrown, you see garbage on the street, you see things that are not in compliance in that section of town, but it's okay in another section of town, it's not what you are supposed to be about. You represent the township of Teaneck, not just one section, but the entire section. You were elected to be a governor for all of Teaneck, not just one section of Teaneck or two sections of Teaneck. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Addison. Mr. Vatsky.
Thank you, Mayor. You surprised me. I do have a lot to say on a lot of different subjects. I want to congratulate our town for having a new manager, Ms. Hashmat. And it's a good start from a good base, Dean Kaczynski. CSX discussions, I'm saying it now. You can't, once I say it, it's out. CSX is playing with us like we are a toy puppy. And it's not right. They have, I am told officially, they have 40 trains a day, not running by this temple, this town hall, but by running past TVAC and the middle school and some churches and my synagogue, okay? And nothing's going to happen. Like that bridge in Baltimore, no ship is going to come by and knock over a bridge. Well, trains happen, accidents happen. I really hope it doesn't happen here, but we are not prepared. We have to get CSX to work on prevention, okay? And I'll move on from that. I mentioned to Mr. Katz, 15 years ago, you were using a lot of unrecycled water to drink your water, and you're still doing it. It's inefficient. It's not environmental. You're in front of thousands of people. Enough already. You should know, you know better. Come on. Okay, next. I agree with Mr. Ray Addison. We need an officer because the people of Teaneck, I got 120. The people, it isn't just the traffic. It isn't the, what is it called? MUTD. The people of Teaneck just don't get it. They don't understand how much danger they create when they run down our streets, when they do that without proper headlights, because a lot of them don't, and without proper training. You want the rate of accidents to go down, which I recall used to be 2,000 a year. You could check that with the TPD. You could also check with the TPD on an item called a PIN map. The things you were asking for earlier this evening are all available already. Where every accident takes place, when, what time of day, what conditions, it's on the PIN map. Now, I don't know, back when I was shown that, there were actual pins, but now I think it's all electronic. And don't reinvent the wheel. Ask the officers for a PIN map. They'll see where it is. They'll see where the accident areas are, and we could start from there. We don't do a survey. We don't have to get a satellite. Let's get real. Let's fix the problem, and let's improve driving with
Thank
drivers.
you, Mr. Vatsky. Thank you, Mr. Vatsky. Mr. Howard Rose.
Good evening, Howard Rose, Teaneck Township resident. I'm horrified by international politics, and I'm depressed by national politics, but I'm in fact focused on Teaneck. When I'm in this council chamber, in front of this council, you have to be focused on Teaneck. That's what you're here for, and that's what we should all be here for. Congratulations on your appointment. You're going to have a lot of formidable tasks, problems to resolve. And I think as you do that, resolve them, you'll get great satisfaction out of what you're doing. So it's a lot to look forward to. On a lighter note, chickens. My wife and I were talking about chickens today. It seems that several years went by where this council said no to chickens. And then finally this year, they said yes to chickens. I have mixed feelings on it. People want chickens, they can have chickens. What I am concerned about is my wife saw today, and this is why the topic comes up here as well as today. My wife today saw chickens running around a front yard in our neighborhood. Now, my assumption's always been that what's the big brouhaha about chickens? What are you going to get? 100 people who get applications? 75 of them will actually hand the applications in. 50 of them will start having chickens. And in 2 years, you'll be left with about 25 families that have chickens. It's not that big a deal. But I am concerned when you have chickens roaming around a front yard because they're likely to run into the street. And when you have cars going 25 miles an hour, all of a sudden they run into the street, you can have a potential accident. People shouldn't be chicken to drive. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rose. Mr. Philiup.
Good evening.
Bill Young, Teaneck resident. So this week, what was it last week? It was last week. Several members of the Northwest of Cedar Lane Neighborhood Association leadership group went to the Cedar Lane Management Group meeting that Mr. Schwartz mentioned earlier. And it was very interesting for us to learn about what that group does, how that works, and what effect that has on our Main Street. Just want to mention that we will probably go again and again because we are interested in improving Cedar Lane and our town. So I just wanted to mention that. I wanted to welcome Ms. Hashmat. Ms. Hashmat, I've written to you several times already over the past week or so about some issues in town, and I appreciate the fact that I got very quick responses from you. I hope that continues. I like to communicate. I have all kinds of degrees, but I like to communicate on a first name basis. I hope that's okay with you in the future. And finally, this is probably not a popular opinion that I want to express personally, not representing any. Oh, I also want to say on behalf of the residents in the Bell Avenue area that I don't know how much you know about the history here, but we've had flooding. I've lived in town for 45 years. We've had flooding for 45 years. I've tried to get the town to fix that over and over, and it's finally in process. It's been 3 years since our major flood where we lost our basements and our cars, and I'm hoping it's not going to be another 3 years before this actually gets fixed. The unpopular opinion I want to express, I think some people might agree with me, is that I think it is time for the hybrid format of this meeting to end. That hybrid format started as a result of the pandemic. The pandemic is over. I've sat here, you all know that I stay till the very end of every meeting. I've sat here, I come to every meeting. I don't do it over, if I can't attend, I don't attend. I don't do it over Zoom. And I think a lot of people say, well, I can do it over Zoom, I can stay home, just like so many people do in terms of their jobs these days. But if people want to come out and speak to the council, face the council, speak to the council, come to the meeting. If you can't make it for one reason or another, you can send a representative to speak on your behalf. But this needs to end because sometimes you're here until 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's ridiculous. So I just wanted to let you know that I am in favor of that, and I hope that happens. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yuck. Amrit.
Amrit Ramjatan, Teaneck resident. Hello to the council. Hello to the new manager. So let's talk about fences, specifically privacy fences on corner lots, on the corner of a property line not bound by the intersection of 2 roads. I know I haven't bugged the council over the past few months, but I just wanted to bring it back up to see if we can get some traction. I know I've gotten some understanding with the council, and it is a logical update to make to the Township Code 3329. Now that we have a new manager, maybe this is something I'd like for her and her office to address. Is it possible to get a new zoning officer appointed to look at this matter and general township business in general? It seems like a priority to have a zoning officer appointed because maybe some items get shelved until somebody's in a position to make decisions. And as a selfish request, maybe it would be somebody who's open to doing updates to the township codes. I know some people like things to stay the same, but things do need to get updated. And I figure if we can do a chicken ordinance, we can do a slight update to privacy fences on corner lots. In fact, why don't we use this update to protect those chickens, right? A closed off fence is better than a 50% open fence. So that's all I had to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Amrit. The gentleman in the front row.
Panel. My name is Barry Shark. I drive the shuttle for Teaneck Senior Housing. And I was wondering if there's anything in the pipeline to like pave a quarter or a third of the road, because I think it's like 50-50. It's nasty. It's just nasty from the bridge by the river. And thank you for doing Cedar Lane East. But is there anything coming money-wise or work-wise on it?
We comment at the end of good and welfare.
I'm sorry?
The council comments after everyone speaks.
Right.
So you have 2.5 more minutes if you want to bring up anything else.
It's just real nasty because I'm up and down at, for my job, I do the
Mhm.
job part-time. And it would help the mom and pop shops. It would help the mom and pop shops to, not have to worry about putting an exhaust system underneath their car, but it's really nasty. So thank you for letting me.
Thank you, sir. Rabbi Friedman. What was your name, sir? I'm sorry. Very sure. Thank you, Barry. Thank you, Barry.
Evening. It's always wonderful to be together with friends and neighbors. It's a privilege to be able to welcome our new town manager, Jackie Hashmat, to her first council meeting, and to use my time to wish her success and blessing in all of her important work on behalf of Teaneck's residents. Jackie, your reputation and work ethic from your service in Hackensack precedes you. We welcome you with open hearts and open arms here to Teaneck. We know it can't be easy to come in at a tense time. Unfortunately, you've already witnessed a fair amount, and we've certainly heard quite a bit tonight as well. But I feel very strongly and want you to know that this doesn't represent Teaneck. The vast majority of Teaneck's residents of every faith, religion, race, and creed want the same things: live here in safety, to have a great education for their kids, to live harmoniously with all of our neighbors without hate or fear. We appreciate our differences, but we understand that our common humanity links us far more profoundly than that which makes us distinctive. I wanted to welcome you, Jackie, by sharing a story about one Teaneck resident that I think represents the finest of what this town is about. His name is Coach Carl. He's my son's baseball coach. Teaneck Southern are the 8 and under district champs. They play in the sectionals tomorrow night. Go Teaneck. You'll go and look at their team. You'll see every faith, color, and race. You'll see boys who love the game and play for each other, and you'll know that that's really what this town is all about. For what it's worth, Coach Carl happens to be a professor of African American history. He's a great teacher of the game of baseball and an even better role model for our boys. Last week up at Lucy Field, the visitors' dugout, as it sometimes is, was flooded. There's a drainage problem there. If somebody could look into it, that'd be great. We know it's not the biggest issue facing Teaneck. We get it. The home dugout, as usual, was just fine. Coach Carl gathered the boys before the game in the first base home dugout and said, "We're going to the visitors' dugout on the third base side because you don't give your guests from a different town a flooded dugout. That's not how we're going to represent Teaneck." And the boys, 7 and 8 years old, all understood, took their bats and their bags, and they moved across the field. Coach Carl was showing our children what it means to represent Teaneck. It means being courteous and virtuous. It means acting with respect. It means having grace. Jackie, Coach Carl represents this town, not those who are here to spread insult or hate or disinformation against any members of the community. This town is a great place to be, as the vast, vast majority of Teaneck's residents are committed to the simple idea that hate really has no home here. May all of your work, Jackie, God willing, be blessed with success for many years to come. And may at the end of every day, you have the quiet but very real satisfaction that belongs to those who commit their lives to public service. Welcome.
Thank you, sir. Right here in the second row.
My name is Elkanan. I'm a resident of Teaneck. I come up here to say welcome to our new town manager, Jacqueline. Looking forward to seeing you at the meetings and around town. Happy birthday to Councilman Ellie Y. Katz. I also want to acknowledge Mayor Pagan's letter from last week. Thank you for sharing of your visit to Israel. I also was wondering what is happening with the walking bridge by Voti Park. It's been out of service for some time, and just curious if there's anything happening with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Sir?
Mayor, council members, I welcome you. My name is Imam Muhammad Dawood. I am also a New York City chaplain, licensed chaplain in New York City. As I stated before, I am a Teaneck resident of about 52 years, graduate of Teaneck High School. And yes, we need more humanities and social graces. And I have to say truthfully that because of the events not just happening in Teaneck, but also overseas, has affected this town and community. And then as a longtime resident here, I can say quite frankly that we need to do more when it comes to humanity and social graces. We don't really need to get this kind of distance amongst each other, whether we're Muslims, Christians, or Jews, or even those who have no denomination at all. But it's yet at the same time, we're not really focusing on the issues. Before, I had stated many young months ago that we say no to Holocaust Memorial Wall. And we say that for a reason. And that reason has now flourished to, let me show for the record that we now have almost more than 100 people, Teaneck residents, who say no to the Holocaust Memorial Wall. Why? Well, I stated before, many people didn't really like that because they may feel offended. Well, the truth hurts. If I, as I stated before last month, have said to the African-American community, because there are Ku Klux Klan members in schools, we should bomb that school. Hospitals. Ku Klux Klan members, should we bomb the hospitals? Such hypocrisy. What kind of a person am I? War criminal. If I was to say that, well, maybe there's some Ku Klux Klan members in Hackensack, Inglewood, New York City, Alabama, Atlanta, Georgia, should we bomb these places? No, it's outrageous. Totally outrageous. We need to do more in our humanities and not just think of just ourselves, but how we affect other people. That is important. Now, what's really important, what's offensive to many people, is that the government is reaching into our pockets to pay for these bombs. No more. No more.
Your time is up, sir.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Berliner.
Avi Berliner, Teaneck resident. I'm just curious, in the previous analogy, who was being compared to the Ku Klux Klan there? And we obviously did go through and clean that problem up. Avi Berliner speaking on behalf of the East Southeast Neighbors of Spirit Bridge Association. So there's 6 neighborhood associations in Township. Ms. Hatchmat, thank you so much. Your representation precedes you, as does ours, for better or for worse, depending on the day. For those that may not be aware, yesterday, Congressman Gottheimer presented an award to over 20 residents within New Jersey's 5th Congressional District, honoring the hometown heroes. 4 of our residents were honored there. I know that Ms. Goldberg was there, former Mayor Dunleavy as well. Just to mention their quick names, actually my phone is in the back. Dr. Ken Hoffman, Sergeant Moreno, and Dr. Albrino, if I'm not mistaken, for the work that they've done throughout the township. And again, that really is a great honor for our town. I think we had more honorees than any of our neighboring townships. I want to thank Ms. Belcher for pushing on the planning board to not only have the master plan pushed forward, but also to make sure that the Rossi was finally moved. I know that there was a decision made to have a second public hearing, and I urge all of my fellow residents and neighbors to come out and speak, give your feedback. With regards to the master plan, part of the discussion as well was to understand that it's been out there for over a year. We know there have been many meetings, but people have changed, plans have changed. Come give the feedback to make sure that it can all be included. New Jersey Transit, for those that have been following, we know that earlier this week, there was an announcement that Coach USA, which was filing bankruptcy, was going to be stopping over 20 bus lines in Bergen County, many of them actually impacting Teaneck. I'm not a Catholic, but I urge Cheryl Hall, please pray to the patron saint of New Jersey Transit, otherwise known as St. Judas Thaddeus, the patron saint of lost causes. Unfortunately, there's really not much that we can do, right? For those of us that commute, whether it's the bus, the train, the running joke right now is the percentage chance of having an issue in your morning commute is the high temperature for the day. Today it hit 100. Today there was 100% of trains being canceled and people's commutes being disrupted. What do we do to solve this as a township? Is it finally time to get a shuttle to make sure that, hey, if buses don't show up, if trains aren't running, folks can at least move to the train station between our major arteries here, move up and down Cedar Lane or Teaneck Road. And finally, with regards to the CSX pedestrian bridge, we were actually awarded on 7-8 as well by the New Jersey Transportation Planning Authority, a $1.5 million grant to make that happen and help us with those costs. So again, there are a lot of things going on, and I urge our residents to please follow the news and speak up. Thank you.
Thank you, Avi. Doug, someone on Zoom?
Yes, I have Margaret Baker. Miss Margaret Baker, please.
Okay, can you hear me, Doug?
Loud and clear, 3 minutes.
Okay, I'm calling as usual about the traffic out here on Decatur. The town or the state came out and put crosswalk lines from one side of Decatur to the other side. The problem is on one side, you have the sign, a blinking crosswalk sign. On the side near my house, you have a stop sign. The line for the stop sign and the crosswalk are adjacent. First of all, when you put the stop sign there, I told you they do not stop. Now you put the crosswalk sign, so you've added another problem. The crosswalk sign and the stop sign are adjacent. You can't have them both. And people do not stop for the stop sign. I really wish the town would come back out here, remove the stop sign, and put the blinking crosswalk sign that was there before. You have created another problem out here. Why is it such a problem to put a yellow double line and speed strips? It's a racetrack out here. There was an accident the other day, and God must have been looking down on Margaret Baker. If it wouldn't have been a PSE and G pole on the corner of Alfred, that car would have been in my house. Speeding off of Route 4. Something has to be done out here. And what has been done so far is not working. It wouldn't be too much if you would listen to someone who lives it every day. It's getting worse. And as far as seeing a police officer out here to check the traffic, it doesn't happen. Maybe you could get some money to add to your budget if you got out here and gave people tickets for not stopping. The stop signs are no use whatsoever.
Thank you, Ms. Baker. Thank you, Ms. Baker. Sir.
Hi, everybody. My name is Bo Forte. I'm from West Milford, New Jersey. I am currently the Green Party candidate for New Jersey's 5th Congressional District, running against Mary Jo and Josh Gottheimer. I am here because I attended the protest last week at the request of some of the people here, some of the good people here. And after I was there and what I witnessed, I did have some exchanges with Ms. Goldberg that I do want to reiterate here in public. You know, it was very disappointing to come here and see Ms. Goldberg standing behind, how many police was? I mean, 50 police. I can't believe that your residents are happy to spend that much overtime for a bunch of kids just exercising their First Amendment rights. But for her to provoke by standing behind the police line and film, I went up to her, not knowing that I was going to be followed, just to try to engage in a dialogue. try to say, listen, we're all in this together. I understand that you're opposed to what they're protesting, but without a dialogue, we're never going to get anywhere. I agree with most of what they did. Her response to me was accusations, telling me that the whole event was anti-Semitic. I mean, how many Jewish people need to be at the protest on our side before it's not anti-Semitic anymore?
Please don't interrupt him.
It's just very disheartening that, listen, I know passions can run wild. I know in an issue like this on both sides, there's a lot of passion. But for a citizen to act that way is one thing. For someone who is elected by the community to provoke a response, put her police in harm's way, that's so unacceptable for an elected official. And I do want to just make sure that that's well understood by Ms. Goldberg and by the rest of the council. I'm sorry.
That's actually a good point. If you can address me and the council instead of.
I will do that. Sorry. And then, in typical juvenile fashion, she ended her letter to me by telling me how much she's looking forward to voting for Mr. Gottheimer come November. And I just want to make sure, since I have 50 seconds, to let her know that I'm a Green Party candidate. Of all the Green Party people that I've met, I'd say over 90% of them are disgruntled Democrats who left the party. The Israel-Palestine conflict is a big reason for that. But also, Josh Gottheimer is hostile to universal health care. He gets over 99% of his campaign donations from wealthy PACs outside the district. If that's the kind of support Democrats want to go to now, then I did not make a mistake leaving that party. And with that, I thank you for allowing me this time.
Seeing no further hands, good and welfare is closed. As soon as I say that, someone raises their hand.
Hello.
You have 3 minutes, sir.
Oh, all right. Hi. My name is Ren Jin. I'm a resident of Rivervale, New Jersey, so just to the north of here. I am the youth coordinator for the. Yeah, I'm the youth coordinator for the New Jersey Democratic Socialists of America, and I just wanted to come here to speak on the recent statement put out by Mayor Pagan denying allegations of genocide and apartheid in Israel-Palestine. As of the 19th of June, 2024, the Gaza Ministry of Health has released an official count of 37,396 Gazans dead, over half of which the UN estimates to be women and children. However, this is only an account of bodies that were identified. It doesn't count people buried under the rubble, people too mutilated for their families to recognize, or the many that have indirectly died from the IDF's destruction of healthcare and civilian infrastructure in Gaza. Taking this into account, The Lancet, a peer-reviewed medical journal, finds that the probable death toll rises to over 186,000 Palestinians, the vast majority of which are civilians. That's a horrifying prospect. If anything is to be learned from the dehumanization of Palestinians by far-right Israeli ministers like Benjamin Netanyahu, the subsequent ethnic cleansing and settler colonization of Palestine is genocide. For Mayor Pagan to declare that based on his own anecdotal evidence against all the other scientific literature, that there is no genocide, there is no apartheid, even considering that the Zionist ethno-state was birthed through the expulsion of 750,000 Palestinians from their ancestral homes, is wrong and deserves to be condemned. Sir, I must ask, where is your humanity? Lastly, I just wanted to talk a bit briefly about the points of people living together in peace. I just want to say, for centuries, Jews and Arabs were able to live in peace in the Middle East, up until the point that the British colonized the region and decided to create a Jewish ethno-state in 1948, that the level of conflict we see today broke out. This is an inevitable consequence of the apartheid, colonialism, and genocide that is Zionism, something that you here are exacerbating with the sale of colonized West Bank land here in Teaneck. People deserve to live in peace together and with equal rights and liberties, free from ethnic cleansing. Thank you, and I yield the rest of my time.
Seeing no further hands, good and welfare is closed. Mr. Schwartz, would you like, Mr. Siegel, please stop. Mr. Schwartz, the floor is yours, sir.
Yes, just a few comments. I'll try to keep it as close to possible, as it relates to TNEC. First of all, if the socialists come out and say that you're doing something wrong, you know you're doing something right. Ironically, the average median household income in Rivervale, New Jersey is $182,000. So the socialism is alive and well. Mr. Mayor, Adam Weissman, who's
Please don't interrupt. Nobody interrupted you.
Mr. Mayor, Adam Weissman spoke in reference to my Jewish name, and I just want to make it clear, I actually have no idea who he is, never met him, thankfully, never spoke with him, even more thankfully. But I wanted to apologize for the comments he made directly towards you, and we thank you for your support in your letter.
Stop interrupting. Nobody interrupted you when you were talking. Stop interrupting, Mr.
Richard.
Mr. Siegel, stop interrupting. Nobody interrupted you when you were speaking.
Mr. Siegel. Yes. So, and I like my time back. So I appreciate everything you said. I'm sorry about those insults that were lobbied against you. I also appreciate all the hard work you did on our town since you took over, since you became mayor. Thank you very much. As it relates to the compliance officer, what Mr. Addison had mentioned, he made a very good point, a lot of good points. Before we go off hiring people, which we've had some conversations about, if there's any specific areas of concern, you know, I see a concern, I go on my walks or jogs, or hopefully jogs all day long, and I report them constantly. So please, if there's specific issues and you reference some really bad situations as it relates to blocking pedestrians and grills and cars and trucks, please report it so we can at least use the tools we currently have, the employees we currently have, before we go spending additional money. And hopefully that could amount to something. We've taken quite a bit of steps with our abandoned homes, and we can continue to do so, and hopefully we see a change. So please report it. The Decatur stop sign, the Decatur stop sign was put out. There are 2 warning signs that precede it. I don't know if we put rumble strips or not before that, but perhaps if we can do the rumble strips as well, that'd be great. I know there's a cost associated with that, but we do have the stop sign and the warning sign, so hopefully rumble strips will work. Thank you, Mr. Attorney, for the affordable housing ordinance definition. I know there's some mention that there was somebody didn't follow it. I'm sure if they can email you, you'll explain it. But I look forward to that, so we can build our affordable housing fund. Just one comment on the affordable housing fund. That is actually what we used to fund the creation of the affordable housing senior home that's going up at 1425 Teaneck Road. And I believe that is all I have. I thank you very much.
Stop interrupting. Stop interrupting.
Okay, I just want to thank my neighbors for coming out and for all your comments. I just want to point out a couple quick ones that I do feel it's important that the attorney report did capture the information about the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and that we have this ordinance that can help to fund, you know, the percentages that are not the whole percentages, and that can translate into dollars that we can actually put into the coffers. I just want to mention also that there is Mr. Haskin, Michael Haskin, and his wife, I believe they may have left already, but he's mentioned as an 8-year resident of town. What are some of the senior programs? And we have such a myriad of senior programs. I would certainly want to reach out to him and his wife and let him know about it, make sure that he's aware of all the wonderful senior programs that we have at the Rada Center. Also, I would ask our clerk to make sure that as we're putting together our new website, that we really kind of look at ways in which our senior services are really showcased there. And also another important resource, I believe that's a great resource in our town for our seniors, is the high school forum. The high school forum is a great opportunity, especially during the winter months when there's, our sidewalks are snow covered. The forum has been very instrumental in engaging our students for things like snow shoveling or mowing the lawn or different things like that. So that may be something that the Haskins might be also interested in hearing about. Mr. Berliner, I just want to thank you for your comments. I think the planning board is doing a stellar job in trying to take care of the Rossi. Also, we do encourage people to come out on the 18th to hear about the open space recreation plan, because it's very vitally important to us actually capturing more monies that will support our township. I also want to mention that I am in support of a trolley. I think that a trolley could be a great way in which we can connect our township in terms of people moving around, that would enable people to keep their cars in their driveway and maybe just do a little bit more trolley riding. Ms. Baker, I did see that stop sign, and I do agree with you that something needs to be looked at. I would ask our town manager to maybe take a look at that. Maybe it's the rumble strips, but I think it's vitally important that we do address it, because it just seems like there's something that's missing there. And so that's really all I have. I just want to lastly say that I am totally in favor of sensitivity training. I think it's certainly something that we can certainly benefit from. I would encourage our deputy mayor to continue, as well as the Community Relations Advisory Board. Don't give up, because we cannot give up on our desire for peace and unity within our township. Thank you.
Ms. Belcher, Ms. Goldberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First, I want to thank Rabbi Friedman for coming out tonight, and I apologize as a leader of this town for the disrespect that you were shown in these chambers. Elkanan, the pedestrian bridge is something that I've been working on. As my colleagues know, Mr. Vatsky has been speaking about the CSX trains for a long time, and it's a very real issue. The pedestrian bridge has been an issue for quite some time, and there was a resolution a few meetings ago to repair the bridge on an emergency basis. However, in an agenda packet a few months ago, I found a charge for $1,800. And even though I drive our CFO a little nuts sometimes it leads to something. So that $1,800 question led us to a 100-year-old contract that our attorney is evaluating to see if CSX is responsible, which would end up being a $5 million savings to our residents. So as Mr. Salmon said, he will be updating us as we evaluate that, and there's a lot of TNEC work being done. Michael and Patricia, congratulations on your retirement. We have an amazing senior center with programming during the day at the Rhoda Center. If you go to our website and senior center, the staff and volunteers will happily welcome you. Mr. Rockland and Mr. Kaplan, TNEC is committed to pedestrian safety. And as I mentioned earlier, the Environmental Commission will be looking at it as well as the council. We are a very pedestrian focused town, and safety is of paramount of importance. Congratulations to the winners of the 2024 Matthew Feldman Award. Thank you to the community for your nominations, and to the Advisory Board of Community Relations for their deliberations and hard work. I can't think of a more deserving individual than Dean Kaczynski, and I think Deputy Mayor Katz would agree with me that Maddie would agree. Thank you, Yehudit, for speaking about our wonderful ABCR chair. I couldn't agree more. There is no one in this town more committed to unity and bringing TNEC together than Cheryl Hall. She is one of the kindest and most genuine souls, and we as a council and a township are blessed to have such an amazing chair for the Advisory Board of Community Relations. I'm proud to serve with Councilmember Schwartz for all of TNEC. And I think our biggest surprise to both of us is just how well we work together. We don't agree on everything, but we work well together for all of TNEC, and that's the most important part of this job. And let me just conclude by saying thank you to Mayor Pagan for your leadership in condemning anti-Semitism. I wish condemning hate wasn't something that should be considered brave. I urge all leaders to be brave and condemn hate when they see it. Normalizing hate should never be acceptable. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Goldberg. Deputy Mayor G.
So it was difficult to hear a lot of the comments in chambers, but I'll try to address a couple that I did hear. First, I am in favor of looking into a code enforcement officer. I know Mr. Addison has brought this up for years. I do think it's something that we should look into. I don't think the onus should be on residents to report things, to report codes that are being violated. I really think, especially as we introduce new ordinances like the chicken ordinance, this is going to be an issue, and the load is too much for the existing officers to cover right now. So I certainly think it's something we should investigate going forward. Second, wanted to address the comments by Mr. Yacht about eliminating Zoom. I really feel one of the great things that came out of COVID was democratizing access to this platform. There are those who who don't have transportation, who may not be able to come out in person, to be able to stand in front of council and share what they would like to share during good and welfare. And so I think we really have to be thoughtful about taking away something that has really benefited so many residents who may not be able to participate otherwise. So I'm a fan of Zoom. I think we should keep it. The more we address the needs of our residents, the less they will come out and need to speak, and that should help shorten the meetings. But eliminating Zoom, I don't think is the way to go. So I'll stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor G. First and foremost, thank you to all of our residents for coming out tonight and participating. Mr. Gardner, thank you for letting us know about the parking issue on Walraven and the issue on Queen Anne Road. We will ask our manager to please look into that. Ms. Silverberg, thank you for pointing out the stop sign issue. We will get on that as soon as possible. And thank you for saying that about our DPW, because they really are a great bunch of guys who care about Teaneck and take care of us. Mr. Haskin, we have some great programs for older adults at the Rota Center, and we can put you in touch with the director over there. It is also listed on our website if that is helpful, but you can also just go to the Rota Center and go into the front office and they'll help you out. Ms. Leon, thank you for pointing out that public safety concern on Werner Place. We will ask our new manager to please look into how we can get that paved for y'all. And we have a lot of work to do tonight, so I'm going to stop there. Ms. Hashmat, is there anything you would like to add or say?
I was just going to defer to Issa to comment on the question about the budget. He was just going to.
So good evening, can you hear me? To, I believe it was Dr. Powers' question about the estimated tax bill. Nobody really asked me this, but I'm happy to answer it. Your taxes are billed quarterly. You get the bill for February 1st, May 1st, August 1st, and November 1st. Unfortunately, because of that cycle, we operate on a calendar year budget, January to December, and then you have the school board, which operates on a state fiscal calendar from July 1st to June 30th. So unfortunately, to make sure everyone stays in that pattern, and as we have done now in several years, we have the ability to estimate the tax rate. You are allowed to, by law, estimate a range between 95 to 105% of the tax rate. So to answer Dr. Powers, yes, we estimated 105%, knowing we would be hopefully within that 4.99 range. There's a slight difference. However, I did have to estimate with the auditor and tax collector the county's rate. I did go as maximum as possible. If your estimated bill, which thankfully people are now receiving, comes in higher than your actual bill later, hopefully in September, maybe early October, you will have a third quarter credit. If it is, if the estimate is actually lower, you will see that increase in the third and fourth quarter. So I hope that answers that question. So yes, so we've sent out the estimated bills. Taxes are still due August 1st with a 10-day grace period. And then once the estimated bill comes out, you'll see the final amount for the third, fourth, first, and second quarter. Oh, one more thing, I'm gonna actually take this opportunity. You have an ordinance tonight for introduction. This is standard procedure, but I also like to give this caveat. The cap bank ordinance allows the township to increase 1% over the 2.5% appropriations cap bank, meaning how much you can spend. So that gives you a 3.5% cap over the prior year's budget and spending. It's utilized for up to 2 years' budgets. It's not money in the bank. It's money on paper. It's more like a home equity line of credit in case of glass, break here, borrow that money. But if you don't use that bank within 2 years, which hopefully we do, and we do still have cap bank, it is forfeited. So I just wanted to remind everybody of that. We're not raising taxes with the cap bank. This is just a precautionary measure because who knows, health benefits are reportedly going up next year. Pension goes up, insurance goes up, everything goes up in life, unfortunately. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abbasi. We're good? Mr. Clerk, our next order of business is our introduction of ordinances. Can you please read the title of the ordinances into the record?
Like our wonderful seasoned CFO explained, ordinance 17 being our COLA ordinance. We have ordinance number 17-2024, year 2024, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget cost of living allowance and to establish a cap bank. We have ordinance number 18-2024, amending section 34 of chapter 33 entitled General Program Purposes, Procedure, Definitions of the Township Code for the Township of Teaneck by detailing the payment in lieu option for partial or fractional affordable housing units. We have ordinance number 19-2024, adopting amendments to the stormwater control ordinance. We have ordinance number 20-2024, an ordinance authorizing the conveyance of a perpetual deed of easement for the installation and maintenance of a water line on real property designated as Lot 2 and Block 2402 on the official tax map of the Township of Teaneck, which is more commonly known as Herrick Park. Those are all of our ordinances.
I move to approve all four
I'll
ordinances.
second that approval.
There was a first from Mayor Pagan and a second from Councilman Schwartz to introduce these ordinances. We will see them again towards the end of August. Councilman Schwartz, Councilwoman Belcher,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz.
Yes.
Oh, no, Councilwoman Goldberg. No, I was right. I'm sorry. I am all over the place. Councilwoman Belcher said yes. Councilwoman Goldberg.
Yes.
Sorry about that. Deputy Mayor Katz. Deputy Mayor G.
Yes.
Mayor Pagan.
Sir.
All introduced. We'll see him in August.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Our next order of business is our introduction of the 2024 municipal budget, 2217-2024.
Is there a reader or are you looking for an intro? Because I'll make the motion to introduce it as presented.
I'll second it.
Was that?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, when you said that I would wait to speak on the budget till later, or is this
Oh, go
before we
ahead, go
vote?
ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Thank you. So it was brought to my attention that $25,000 was cut from the forum. We've typically provided coverage for the cost of a forum, I believe about $50,000 a year. And so given that we were able to sell those cell tower and get that $3.5 million return on that, I'd like to suggest that we consider, if not there, finding $25,000 to fully reinstate the forum funding. Again, this is a program that supports the entire town, not just public school families, the entire town. They provide several services, whether it's job opportunities. I know they provided counselors for camps like Camp Shalom. They provide babysitting jobs for all families. They provide counseling services for all families. So this is just a really wonderful program that we've always supported. It was cut because we thought the budget was going to have to increase 7%. Now we're down to 4.99%. And I'd like to recommend that we find the $25,000 to fully reinstate the forum funding. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Uh,
Ms. Belcher.
Yes, I would also recommend that we find the 25,000 for this program because as I mentioned earlier, regarding Mr. and Mrs. Haskin, that this is the forum really does provide not only just opportunity for our students in terms of oftentimes their first job, their first learning of how to interview, be it for a new job or even to work for some of our local businesses. But they also offer services to all residents when it comes to yard work and snow removal and so forth. So I would seriously ask that we consider, I asked my colleagues that we consider finding the $25,000 to support this very needed program within our town.
Anyone else? Because there was a first and a second.
Roll call.
Clerk.
There was a first from Councilman Schwartz and a second from Mayor Pagan to introduce the 2024 budget, as is Councilman Schwartz.
Sorry, sorry to interrupt, but can we make a motion to find the $25,000 before we vote on?
Yeah, why don't you make the
Well,
motion?
that would have to be you if you want to make that motion. Because I was actually hoping to pass the budget and then look for some money after we pass the budget.
Right.
But I mean, if you want to make a motion, please, by all means, make a motion.
If we see 4 nodding heads that will agree to find the dollars, then happy to move forward.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, Deputy Mayor. I'm sorry, what did you say?
Are there 4 nodding heads to find?
No, I think, Mr. Mayor, that our manager should work with the Board of Ed. This is for students. It's a very important program, I'm sure, to work with our Board of Ed and see what we can do to come up with that money. It's this budget, we're just under 5%, and this is a very important, a lot of students involved. It's great. and we can work with the Board of Ed and see where we can get that money, because I think we should
No,
hopefully try to do that with the Board
The
of Ed.
Board of Ed already provides the majority of funding for this program. We've always supported it with $50,000 and we cut that in half. They already support the program. And I'm saying, can we fully reinstate the support that we've always provided in the past?
Just
Well-
would like to make a note that the Board of Ed publicly said at their meeting that this cut has no impact on the staffing or the services that they will be providing to this. They said that publicly at the Board of Ed meeting. We have a responsibility to the township, and this, our taxpayer funds, we're stewards for this fund. And we've been doing this for decades. And we have a very tough tax year ahead of us this year, next year, and we have to be responsible stewards. And the Board of Ed very publicly said that this didn't have any impact. They said it at, I think it was 2 meetings ago.
I spoke to my fellow colleagues on the Board of Ed, and it was a serious issue that there was a cut, is what I was told.
And also, guys,
So
if I could point out, in terms of parliamentary procedure, a roll call has actually already started.
Yeah, but you told me to hold off on bringing this up because you would allow me to
Yeah,
discuss
and
it
you
later.
spoke about it. You didn't make a motion. You recommended.
Okay, fine, then I will
way I
make the
look at
motion.
I'm sorry, Mr. Attorney.
Intervene real quick.
Since we have a motion on the floor, I think at this point we would need a motion to amend, to whether it's up to
Thank you.
up to the council to how to word it, but whether you want to find the money somewhere else or however you want to do it, but we would need a motion to amend.
Yes, like
I
to
make
make,
a motion to amend the on the floor resolution to include the $25,000 for the forum.
second,
All right, roll call.
There was a first from Councilwoman Belcher and a second from Deputy Mayor G to introduce the 2024 municipal budget with the 25K to the form, correct, Councilwoman Belcher? So we have Councilman Schwartz,
Negative, no.
we have Councilwoman Belcher,
Yes.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
No.
Deputy Mayor Katz,
No.
Deputy Mayor G,
yes,
Mayor Pagan.
No,
A motion to amend failed.
but there's still another motion, correct? Or does the motion have to be made again? Because there was a motion before that and a second.
I believe that motion stands. So we had a motion to introduce the budget from Councilman Schwartz with a second. from
Yes.
Mayor Pagan, Councilman Schwartz. I'm asking for your vote, sorry.
Yes, on my vote.
Councilwoman
Motion
Belcher.
as I introduced.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Belcher,
Yes.
Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz,
Yes on introduction.
Deputy Mayor G,
I think she's frozen. Or she's not blinking.
I can't hear you. Did you just call me? Yes.
yeah, Deputy
Can you
Mayor
hear
G. Yeah, we could hear you.
Can you hear
Got a
me?
little, yes, we could hear you. Got a little bit of a Wi-Fi lag. I just want to confirm you said yes.
I did say yes.
Thank you. Mayor Pagan,
Yes.
budget introduced.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Our next order of business is the introduction of the 2024 Cedar Lane Special Improvement District budget.
Make a motion to introduce the budget for Cedar Lane.
This is for Cedar Lane Special Improvement District. First from Councilman Schwartz, second from Councilwoman Belcher. Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilwoman Belcher, Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz, Deputy Mayor G,
Yes,
Mayor Pagan.
Yes.
Introduced.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Our next order of business is the consent agenda, and all matters listed on the consent agenda are considered to be routine in nature by council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items. If any discussion is desired by council, that particular item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Mr. Clerk, can you please read the amount of the bill listed correctly?
Sir Mayor, we have, just as a reminder, because our consent agenda is a little differently formatted this meeting, we got 2 sets of minutes on here. We have resolutions 219 to remember 236-2024. That was the Resolution walked in from Miss Councilwoman Goldberg, added to our consent agenda this evening with the bill list in the amount of $9,756,851.31.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to pull the bills list.
Hold. Else, anything?
Just, on 229-204, I don't see the list of, the various block and lots. Is it in the packet?
Or we had Deputy Mayor Katz, just want to clarify for everybody. Deputy Mayor Katz was asking for a clarifying comment on resolution 229-2024, which is authorizing our tax collector to remove interest and penalties on various blocks and lots. We have it there, Deputy Mayor Katz. I will read them to you and to the public right now. It's block 2917, lot 26. Block 3801, lot 4.
Just two of them?
Block 3816, lot 4. And if you need it again, I can share it to you.
No,
after
I'm
that.
gonna abstain from that because I didn't look up those. I was trying to find it earlier.
I'm sorry.
Anyone else? In that case, I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second, Schwartz.
Remember, the bill list has been pulled, so we're going to come back to that.
That is pulled from the consent agenda, our bill list, and we had a motion from Mayor Pagan and a second from Councilman Schwartz. Councilman Schwartz,
Yes.
Councilwoman Belcher, Councilwoman Goldberg,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz.
Yes, with an abstention on 227 and 2024 and 229-2024.
Sorry. 227 and 229.
Yes.
Thank you, sir. Deputy Mayor G.
Yes, sorry.
It's all good. It's all good. I got it. It's not my first rodeo with technological deficiencies. Mayor Pagan.
Yes.
All right, consent agenda adopted. We just got the bills list.
Yes, Ms. Goldberg, the floor is yours.
Yeah, so there's an invoice on there for AB contracting for $206,945.62. That's for the first half of the splash pad. So it's currently hitting a 2021 bond ordinance that has not yet been funded. So there's no impact to our balance sheet right now. It's not funded. There's no future impact. So this is literally the exact reason for most funds. And given, again, we have a very tough budget year ahead of us for the next few years. So I want to make a motion that instead of that bill hitting that bond ordinance that hasn't been
Second.
funded yet. Okay, can I finish the motion?
I think we know where you're going.
Okay, I wanted to hit most and not the bond
Picking up
ordinance.
what you're putting
So
down.
yes, there we go. That's my motion, and I guess Deputy Mayor Katz seconded. So there we go. So that invoice for the AB contracting, I'm making a motion that it hits most instead of the 2021 bond ordinance, which has not yet been funded, so that we can save future taxpayer money. Correct.
Yes.
That's my motion, and Deputy Mayor Katz.
Councilman Schwartz.
Yes.
Councilman Belcher.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Goldberg.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Katz. Deputy Mayor G.
Yes.
Mayor Pagan.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve the rest of the bills list.
Second.
Councilman Schwartz.
Yes, with an abstention on 24-02881 and 24-03057, a total of $450 for advertisements in the Jewish Link announcing the meeting dates.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Belcher.
Yeah.
Councilwoman Goldberg.
I'm going to vote yes on the AB contracting and abstain on the rest of the bills list.
Deputy Mayor Katz.
Abstention on the bill list.
Deputy Mayor G.
Yes.
Mayor Pagan.
Yes.
Bills list adopted.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you, everyone, for coming out tonight. We hope you have a peaceful evening.
Good.
Happy birthday.
See some of your
Thank you
people
very much.